From AP, and AP asks, "What the hell is Cardless doing? Do they have any future?" I'll kick this one off just to give some context. Cardless is a card issuer that currently issues a number of travel cards for airlines, most specifically TAP Air Portugal, Qatar, which I will pronounce Qatar or try to pronounce it properly, whatever, and they do the Avianca cards. They have those three cards. They used to issue like cards with NBA teams and premiership teams, and I want to say one other league, but they canceled all of those cards just in the dead of night and gave their users no warning whatsoever. They also do the Simon Malls cards, so all Simon properties. There's a Simon specific credit card. Also, I don't know if that one's been discontinued and canceled outright. I know that the sports teams co-brands were all canceled at one point. Cardless also is the issuer that was known for having a very unique rule in the credit card game of you only get one of our cards. Doesn't matter what card it is, you only get one. They have now loosened that rule, and now you can get one card from each family of cards. But they killed a whole bunch of the families of cards in one fell swoop overnight with no notice whatsoever. I think Cardless is in over their heads, and they launched a ton of products. Now, the Qatar cards are very interesting cards for the United States. The Avianca cards are also, like, when you dig into them, they're interesting because they give you like really steep discounts on one of the levels of Avianca's subscription. What we talked about earlier about like buying perks, Avianca has its own subscription to things. It's not status, but like you can get discounts on purchasing points. You can get discounts on a whole bunch of other things that you pay into with Avianca. Like you get part of that, you get that for holding the card. So they're interesting cards, but they're constantly having to do all-time high welcome offers because they're not pushing out enough cards. And I'm sure that Qatar is not really happy with their current cardless situation. I'm sure Avianca isn't as happy as they'd like to be if they were with a bigger bank. But Cardless was offering them a deal they, I guess, at the time thought they couldn't turn down. And when you go with a non-traditional issuer, you're not always going to get the level of cooperation is not the word, but like the level of customer injection that you think you're going to. If Qatar had done a card through Chase, there'd be a ton of Qatar, like the Qatar card as currently designed, because there's one that gives you like their second highest status for $4.99 for the first year. And it's equivalent, I think, to One World Sapphire. So like you get this card, you match over to One World Sapphire, you take your One World Sapphire, you match over to American Airlines, or you match over to Alaska Airlines, or whatever other One World partner you want to do. And then like you work on that status because you picked up the status through Qatar. If that card was offered on Chase, it would be the talk of Chase. Yeah. It's not a well-earning card. So what is Cardless doing? They're trying to get customers. They're getting co-brand leads, but the customer acquisition with the way that they handle things is not great right now. Do they have a future? I honestly couldn't tell you. If I was a bank right now that was relatively large and losing some money some places, and I wanted to pick up a new portfolio of cards and the back book and kind of say, hey, do you want One World Sapphire status for a year? Come get our $4.99 card. I would buy Cardless. I think that bank happens to have a red background with yellow letters, but who am I? I think they should just go on an acquisition spree. But who am I to say that bank should do that thing? Or if I was a bank that, I don't know, just happened to buy a bank that was known for buying a bank that was known for having two circles, two very distinct circles, that's not MasterCard. Actually, no, Discover's not that. But if I just bought Discover, I would also want to buy Cardless. If I'm a bank that only works on Sundays, that only wakes up on Sunday morning and then falls asleep on Sunday afternoon, not to be seen for another week, I would try to buy Cardless. to at least get that portfolio of cards into my network. Do they have a future? I think they have a future as an acquisition target. I don't think they have much of a future standing alone. If I remember correctly, they issue their cards through Coastal Community Bank. There's only so far you can go with Coastal Community. Coastal Community is also not well known for their customer service, and Cardless is also known for shutting down cards unexpectedly in the middle of the night. With that, Craig, what the hell is Cardless doing, and do they have a future?
I'm going to bow out because, Matt, I cannot follow that up. That was far more in detail and in depth than I could possibly give you. All I will say is I have never had a cardless card. I have no intention of getting an Avianca card or a Qatar card or Qatar. I apologize. My Arabic is not up to standard.
It's Qatar.
Qatar.
It's yeah, that's the closest I can get.
I apologize. I have failed two very different cultures today in both these podcasts. But with that said, I nothing they have is interesting to me. I will say One World Sapphire, super powerful, but I get that through my AA status, and I get One World Emerald. So, nothing here for me to contribute. So I'm going to pass things back to you.
No, that's fair. RJ, any other thoughts here?
I think it's very hard not to be one of the major issuers. And I think any issuer, cardless included, who's not one of the big fish, and like the synchronies of the world are getting up into that level just because of the breadth of cards they have, whether you like them or not. They just have so many cards. Like, it's hard. It is hard to be small in this industry, right? Capital One is 24-ish years old and they have managed it. But how many card issuers that formed around the time of Capital One have made it that big? None. And since, not really. Built, maybe, but Built is also in a weird position where they're not really their own thing. They are so intertwined with Wells Fargo. Poorly at times, but they are. So I think it's just hard to be small. It's hard to not be Chase, American Express, Capital One, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Barclays, like even Barclays, right? Like they're in a much stronger position. If you say Barclays, more people are going to know. If you say cardless outside of credit card discords, like, wait, you have a card that's less? Like, nobody's going to know what you're talking about. So I think that part of the problem is if you're small, really, you're trying to get big enough to be bought. Like to Matt's point, you're not actually trying to be your own thing. And I think Cardless is a prime target for acquisition.
Yes, yes. If you happen to be, I don't know, Wells Fargo or Capital One or Citi, you should be looking to purchase Cardless. You should be looking to purchase like that, whatever meager backbook they have, grab that at least for the Qatar, the Avianca, and the Tapper Portugal cards. If you're Wells, you need to be in on this because of your current status with transfer partners. You don't have enough transfer partners. At least buying these cards could get you in with these companies and maybe eventually being able to add Tap as a transfer partner. You already have Avianca as a transfer partner. That's just bringing that home to you. Avianca pairs with other companies as well, but you get the picture. And Qatar, that would be huge just because, like, your resources, Qatar card, able to sell it, all the things. Anyway, Mr. Sharf, Mr. Guy, I'm forgetting your name, but you came from Chase. Call me. Please don't actually. That'd be very weird.